a very special edition of Faces of Africa podcast. We're focusing on a story that has just broken this week. The story is about a female athlete who has been severely burnt, and she's currently in a bad state. And that's the kind of story that we want to talk about today, because even as Faces of Africa, we've done a lot of stories when it comes to athletes around the world. Jeff, how are you?
Well, I would have said I'm fine, but now with the weight of this story that we're doing, definitely I'm not fine. It's a very sad state of affairs.
Mm-hmm. Going back to what has happened, this story broke yesterday. The story is about a Ugandan athlete, Rebecca Cheptegei.
Yeah.
She's currently in critical condition after she was set on fire by allegedly a boyfriend or a former boyfriend. We can't ascertain to that yet. But she was poured on gasoline.
Yeah.
And so she's severely burned, like 75%.
75%. It's so sad.
What are your thoughts on that? Because for me, it's baffling. It's quite sad.
Yeah. Fathiya, to be honest, this is crazy in terms of just thinking how brutal and the pain she went through. Mm-hmm. Why somebody in their own right minds would put another human being through such violence or such pain. Any type of violence against a fellow human being should be condemned with the strongest terms possible.
So, it gets me thinking, is it because the alleged perpetrator was intimidated or didn't want her success? Or what is this from a man's perspective?
There are a lot of men who are very insecure, extremely insecure, who think that a woman's place should just be in the kitchen. A woman shouldn't rise up. A woman should never be seen or heard, okay? Mm-hmm. So this type of men, the only solution to a woman rising up or a woman getting power, the only way to bring down that woman is through violence. All right, they have nothing else to offer. These are the men who will not better themselves to come up to the level of that woman they are either dating or they have been married to. So they're at a lower level and they feel intimidated and they feel helpless. And I honestly, I think it's a shame.
I mean, it's such a shame.
It's a shame. It's quite disgusting. Honestly, it's a shame. It is.
Because, according to some of the reports that I have been reading on this particular issue, it is said that the two, actually, they've been wrangling over a piece of land.
Yeah.
And, she actually runs for Uganda.
Yes.
But in Kenya, she has a piece of land in Trans Nzoia County. Yes. And in this particular area, she bought this land because she wants to be near the training centers.
Correct.
So you can imagine the extent she went
to
make sure that she succeeds in what she's doing.
You can imagine.
Then this person is feeling some type of way that he's not getting anything out of it, or the land situation. Does he own it? It's quite disgusting.
It's disgusting because the person, this man, has not worked for that property. Yeah. So on what basis is he claiming the property? Mm-hmm. He wasn't the one who was running. He didn't put any training, but he's so entitled to somebody's property to the extent of causing grievous bodily harm. It's so shameful and very sad, and I hope the law takes its course.
I'm curious, though, from a man's perspective. Maybe it's a bit controversial to ask this, but do you think it's part of a man's nature to not accept where a woman gets, or in terms of professional or money, or doesn't want a woman to be on top of where he is? Is it something that's in the nature of men? Because it's a lot of cases we've seen.
It's a lot of cases, of course, I agree, but it also depends on your level of exposure. If you're well educated, you're well traveled, you'd know the world is changing. Women are doing what men can do. Women are rising in academia, in sports, in corporate world. We even have women presidents. Right now, as Kenyans, we have the first Attorney General who is a woman, right?
Right.
So women are rising and doing what men can do. I'm just asking my fellow men to just accept and to just give our sisters the support. For the longest, especially in Africa, women have been trampled on. So when they rise, I'm happy.
Let's take a look at some of the cases of female athletes who've either lost their lives, they've lost some of the things that they've worked for.
Yeah.
But specifically, let's talk about the ones who've lost their lives.
Yeah.
In 2021,
Yes.
Agnes Tirop was
Yeah.
stabbed to death
Uh-huh.
in a domestic violence case.
Correct.
And this was because this was also done apparently or allegedly by her estranged husband at the time, who was charged with murder. Another case, of course, that we've seen, Jeff, is about Edith Muthoni. Could you tell us about that story?
Yeah, another sad, that was sad. Edith Muthoni was killed after a domestic quarrel with the husband, Kenneth Chomba, who was the prime suspect. Imagine, she was only 27 years old, such a young lady.
That's very sad.
Very sad.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
I mean, another case that I also saw that was, again, baffling and
Yeah.
just scary. There's a lady called Damaris Mutua.
Yeah.
In 2022, actually,
Yeah.
she was found in her room strangled to death. In fact, her story,
Yeah.
the person, the boyfriend who's from another country,
Yes.
who was named the prime suspect,
Yes.
apparently used a pillow to strangle her,
Yeah, it's
like to suffocate her.
yeah. I'm thinking these men are just very intimidated by this success these women are going through.
As a woman, I think I'm very angry with the whole situation, but I can't imagine what the family is going through. What do you think, especially the father?
Oh, the father is heartbroken. He's mentioned how the kids are also heartbroken. He had to get the grandmother to the kids to just go and try and comfort the kids, because the kids were home when this, apparently the kids were home when this was happening.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the trauma on the children.
It's going to affect them all their lives. It's a wake-up call for us to actually highlight such stories.
I completely agree. We should put a spotlight on this. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Jeff, for just jumping into this conversation that's very critical at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Fathiya. It's a sad one, and we hope she makes a complete recovery.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Thank you.